Wait a minute, I got a comment here.
I really don't understand bottom fishing anymore.
Okay, so we're gonna.
Oh, we're done.
We're done.
No. All right. I'll do that instead, so you know the meeting's not over.
So late.
So I guess we'll have to not be introduced, but I guess
Yeah.
we'll get our program started.
So
So
this is Alan.
this is Ginny. We travel well together, twice so far. I'm sure there'll be
Oh,
another one or
Alan's
two.
great to travel with.
Oh, Ginny's the best. So.
Like Thelma and Louise.
So we're both so excited to share some of the highlights from the Rotary International Convention because it means we get to live it again here all over. And it was one of the experiences of a lifetime. Ginny and I knew when we signed up for this that we were going to be on the longest commercial flight in existence. From Newark to Singapore is just over 19 hours.
19 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Cocktail.
So it's the last 10 minutes.
But we didn't realize that a 3-hour delay due to thunderstorms in Newark meant we'd be on the plane for over 24 hours. So compression socks were a must. But Singapore Airlines really did live up to its reputation. The service was phenomenal. The flight was pretty painless. The food was fantastic, and there were lots of entertainment options.
Lots of movies.
Yeah, we watched a lot. We were really awestruck by Singapore's Chiang-Mai Airport, consistently voted one of the best in the world for a very good reason. Look how spotless it was organized, customs was organized. Best of all, even before we left the airport, we had a Rotary moment. These are 2 Rotarian volunteers from Australia who were there to greet us. And it was a preview into how much thought the convention planners had put into making everyone feel welcome every step of the way.
They were such a welcome sight because we're like maneuvering through the airport and then we see these guys and they're like, okay, they're telling us where to go, catch the taxi here. It was so welcome to have this direction and see them. Excuse me.
So the ride from the airport to the hotel was magical. Our taxi driver was so proud to point out some of Singapore's key landmarks, the Marina Bay Sands Hotel and Convention Center, the Ferris wheel, Gardens by the Bay, and we were struck by how immaculate the streets are. I said to Ginny, he's like, you could eat off these streets. And finally we arrived at our hotel more than 30 hours after leaving Brantford.
Yeah, we lost a whole day.
Yeah.
Travel.
But we crossed the international date line, so it was the math was a little sneaky. As for the convention itself, to say it was inspiring would be an understatement. Imagine a place, specifically the magnificent Marina Bay Sands Convention Center, where over 14,000 like-minded Rotarians were gathered. There was such an overwhelming feeling of community. From the moment we arrived, we felt enveloped in an atmosphere of kinship and unity. The convention kicked off with an awe-inspiring opening session titled Sharing Connections with the World.
There were, like Ellen said, over 14,000 people. So they had to do the opening ceremony twice. They had 2, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And we were assigned to the afternoon. And that was so crowded, we ended up sitting on the floor for the first half hour until they found us seats. It was packed. We learned our lesson to get to the convention center early.
Yeah, like
For the general.
40 minutes early. It just was a mob scene. So outgoing President Gordon McInally delivered a very moving keynote address. As many of you know from the communications we've been getting from RI, he's dedicated his presidency to making mental health initiatives a top priority. Mental health is extremely personal to Gordon. I don't know how many of you know this, but he lost his younger brother to suicide. So his heartfelt words were really, really poignant. But his message was clear. Mental health is a crucial issue that Rotary can and must address. And we have the power to make a significant difference in this critical area. It's sort of along the lines of what we've done with polio, with cervical cancer in Egypt. And it's amazing how much awareness has been raised in the Rotary family just over the last year. All of these mental action groups are proliferating, and it's glad to see this getting the attention it deserves. The convention also featured many entertainments. and they were displaying Singapore's cultural heritage. So this was a lion and dragon dance during the first session, which was really wonderful. One of the most breakout and breathtaking and moving moments of the opening session was the parade of flags. We were told this was something that was going to be very emotional, but we were still blown away. Volunteers proudly carried the flags of over 200 member countries. They were met with thunderous applause and cheering. It was a very visual and emotional reminder of the global unity and diversity that we have.
Yeah, it took, almost 45 minutes just to get all the flags read out. It was really quite a sight.
And a lot of the country contingents were all dressed in their own cultural dress, so they stood up as a group and cheered when their flag came by.
Yeah.
So
you knew how many from one country was there. Korea, they all stood up and clapped, and then someone from another country, there was like 2 people.
I mean, 200 member countries, that's pretty impressive. During that first session, we also heard from Graca Machel, the former First Lady of both Mozambique and South Africa. She's currently the Deputy Chair of the Elders. That's an independent group founded by Nelson Mandela to promote peace in the world. And her conversation on positive peace was very powerful. She urged us all to work tirelessly and thank us for what we've done so far for equality for women, but more importantly, equal access to education for girls, which is still sadly lacking in many parts of the world. However, as I alluded to in the installation dinner speech, amongst the celebrations and camaraderie, there was also a sobering message, and that's the concern over the slow decline in Rotary membership over the decades. This issue was at the forefront of the convention, but so was the response, which is the 2024 action plan, which President Stephanie Urchik has been kind of promoting for the last 4 years as an RI director. This plan has 4 key pillars. The first is to increase our impact. The second is to expand our reach. Third is enhance participant engagement. And 4 is increase our ability to adapt. So as I mentioned, it was a cornerstone of the entire convention, and it was represented everywhere in all of the general and breakout sessions. The second general session, Sharing Light with the World, also offered 2 hours of inspiring talks. The keynote was given by John Hugo, who was incredibly impressive. He's RI's Secretary General and a member of the Kiev Ukraine Club. He spoke passionately about the potential of AI to help clubs adapt to the changing landscape. And his message was clear. Clubs that embrace AI and evolve will thrive, while those that resist change risk being left behind. It was a very thought-provoking perspective that underscored the importance of innovation in Rotary's future.
So what he did in this presentation is he used AI to address the audience and greet people in 6 different languages. So AI used his mannerisms and the different languages, and so there was like 6 different him up on the screen welcoming people from
It was almost like something from one of those many-armed dances, like he would stand forward and step aside and then another avatar would come forward. It was pretty impressive.
It was very cool.
Another notable speaker that morning was Nacho Dean. He's a naturalist and explorer, and his claim to fame, he's walked more than 20,000 miles around the world and also swung among 4 continents to raise awareness of the environmental crisis facing us.
Yeah, so young and just so directed towards this environmental cause. It was impressive.
Jack Sim, who's a member of the Rotary Club of Singapore and the founder and CEO of the World Toilet Organization, added more than a touch of humor to his deeply important work on clean water and sanitation. And yeah, there were a lot of poop references. And naturally, one of the most meaningful conversations to both Ginny and me in light of our India trip to the National Immunization Day was the conversation with Aidan O'Leary, who's the Director of Polio Eradication, with Carol Pandak, who's the Director of Rotary's Polio Plus program. And I think the most moving portion included a talk with Tayyab Agul, a polio healthcare worker from Afghanistan who was incredibly nonchalant about risking her life to deliver polio vaccines.
We do have access to both of these videos, and they're just 15 minutes long that might be able to present at some point.
Maybe in October during
It was quite moving and impressive, so you can look forward to that.
And in addition to the general sessions, there were breakout sessions every afternoon. They addressed every issue facing Rotary, whether it was sessions on how to grow membership, how to increase our impact, how to plan effective projects, applying for global grants, initiatives on mental health, special action groups, something for everyone. With 12 to 15 sessions available every hour, the afternoons were jam-packed with learning and really tough decisions on which ones we wanted to go to. So Ginny and I divided up as best we could, but unlike John Hugo, we didn't have 6 other avatars that we could, you know.
And the timing of them made it a little difficult to go to so many, because one ended before the other one, one started before the other one ended.
But it was so organized, they actually had screens, because they said, you got an electronic program, which was an app, so you could keep track of everything. And outside each breakout session room, there was a monitor that told you what percentage of the seats were already filled. So you were told to have like a second and third choice in case you couldn't get into the original session. So it was a marvel of planning and organization. But one of the most valuable parts of the convention were the spontaneous encounters that we had and the connections we made. For example, at the first session, we just happened to sit next to Maury Akamoto Kearney from the Cupertino, California Club. She's World Community Service Committee Chair of that 200-member club. They have an incredible 10 global projects in play right now. In fact, she had Rotary business cards with photos of each of the projects displayed on the back, which was very clever. It's worth noting here, everyone at the convention had Rotary cards with their title, with maybe images on the back for what their club was known for. Something to think about as we forge more connections, at district assemblies. But anytime going international, like you'll see a picture, she's holding up my Antonym business card. One, because I didn't think to have a Rotary card.
Where am I?
If you just go back. Yeah, that's the only business that.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only business card I have. So.
Yeah, they were asking us for our cards. It's like, I don't have any.
So, we're hoping that we can partner with her club on one of these. I'm going to be scheduling a conversation with her to get more information. We also got to exchange flags with Avi from the Rotary Club of Asansol in India. Looking forward to having it up here one of these days. I have to bring it, unpack it first. But at one breakout session, we sat with Celestino Uma. Look how young he is. He's a water engineer from Kenya.
And he was looking to raise money for his projects. That's part of these international convention, is people are looking for help on their projects, looking for connections and partners. It's a lot of networking.
We were on a crowded escalator, and this woman had this backpack with all these cute stickers on the back, and we tapped her on the shoulder to admire it. And Christine turned out to be the president-elect of the Holyoke, Massachusetts Club. Small world. In fact, there were so many president-elects in attendance. There was a luncheon on the last day that incoming, then, now current RI President Stephanie Urchin hosted for all the PEs. There must have been over 2,000 of us in that ballroom. And that's just a note, we learned early on in the planning when Ginny and I were thinking about this trip, and we learned from some of the people that we'd gone to India with, that a lot of clubs, I can't say the percentage, but it seems like it's more than 50%, clubs budget to send their president-elect. Not everyone can go, they have work commitments, whatever, but it's a pretty standard thing for clubs to send their PEs. One key attraction of the convention was the House of Friendship, an exhibit space that was filled with Rotarian initiatives and special interest groups. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, it was just a big auditorium, just filled with booths all over.
That's the map, actually.
Yeah. It was a lot to take in. And it was open all day, every day until maybe 6 o'clock. So you just roam around and see what you can
You could not cover it in one session, so we wound up going like every day, sometimes twice. You know, we saw exhibits on WASH, which stands for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene, which is an important issue. But there were also exhibits on community economic development, basic education and literacy, action groups, mental health, addiction, literally every pillar of Rotary. We were especially intrigued, and I mentioned this at the board meeting last night, by End Plastic Soup. This is an initiative created by the Rotary Club of Amsterdam, which aims to keep plastics out of our oceans and waterways. Any coastal community should be paying attention to this, and we hope Branford can take a close look. It's a bottom-up organization, and I think they have 1,000 member clubs already signed up. So we'll be talking more about that once I do a little bit more research. We were also fascinated by the work that the other Ellen and Jamie from Days for Girls in Haiti were doing. They create menstrual kits so girls do not miss school. I mean, you can't find typical store-bought menstrual products there, so they have these sewing kits with templates. I will bring one for show and tell. I almost brought it today. As a matter of fact, I walked out with that one, the little orange and yellow. I thought it was very cheerful. They also have a mango organic farm, and they're happy to come talk to us. They live in Pennsylvania when they're not in Haiti. There were also Rotary Special Action Groups, quite a few humorous ones. I think one of the ones that got probably the most play was capital BREW, Beers Rotarians Enjoy Worldwide. They've actually raised a shit ton of money. And there's also the
And the connection between beer and clean water is right there.
There you go. There's also the Vegans Rotary Fellowship. I mean, something for everyone. One of the hubs of the House of Friendship was Peace Park, which had a robust schedule of events, including musical entertainment. They had meditations. They had this igloo where you could have a sensory experience and put headphones on. It was a little out there, but you know.
Well, it was kind of a place where you can go and just chill for a few minutes with all this chaos going on, organized chaos going on, and get a little bit of downtime.
Yeah, there was sensory bombardment everywhere. There were seminars, and there were a lot of wonderful inspirational quotes. So it was a vibrant and dynamic space where clubs and districts were networking, trying to find partners for their global grants. They were showcasing their projects. We got like a one-on-one update from Shelterbox, which are really not using boxes anymore. They're using more tents, and he was telling us about the way that their emergency response has evolved based on what people need. So
They're
that was,
moving in a good direction.
yeah.
It's not to look into.
And plus, they were shopping. They
Which
were
is
like,
where we got these dresses.
not particularly this vendor, but I did buy that shirt. You're gonna see that soon. Yeah, there were about 20 organized vendors, and it's like it put Russell Hampton to shame because some of the African ones, and they also have, you know, women who are recovering from human trafficking sewing these, so you really want to support them.
The other thing that was at the House of Friendship, it was a bigger area, and they were selling, or they were registering people for next year's international convention in Calgary, Canada. And they had the cowboy hats, and they were out there giving out pamphlets and all. They got pamphlets because we didn't pick them up. But people were signing up.
There were lines of people to sign up. In fact, like we were shocked with how many people had been to like 30 conventions. Like for some Rotarians, this is their annual foreign trip, and they just base everything around it. There were tons of wonderful evening events. The very first night featured Gastro Beats, which was an outdoor fair that had hundreds of food and drink vendors. Oh my God, the choices of different ethnic foods were amazing. It was billed as, it was gonna be held rain or shine. Well, wouldn't you know, it was the one night that it rained steadily and did not stop. I mean, we were
Until we found an umbrella.
at like 9 o'clock. But despite the rain, and I felt so bad for the vendors because it was not well attended. I mean, the beer tent, as you'll see, was crowded, but considering the fact that there was 14,000 attendees, I don't think there were.
And it was a huge parking lot. It could have accommodated 14,000 people.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah. But despite the rain, we made a delightful connection with this woman named Eve Conway. We didn't find out until we'd been talking for 20 minutes that she was an RI director from England, and she was actually giving a breakout session later on in the week on enhancing our impact through service, which of course Ginny and I went to.
It was a really fun evening. There was a band, there was dancing. Ellen's there, she danced with this little girl that was with her father, Rotarian. And
Ginny took only about 1,400 pictures of that.
Yeah, it was too cute. And then we ended up meeting up with some of the people that we traveled to India with, who were from other parts of the United States. And it was like, hey, what are you doing here?
Well, I know what you're doing here, but like it was so amazing to just like run into you.
Yeah.
So night 2 was Beyond Borders, and that was a dinner hosted by our USA Zones 28 and 32. So it gave us the chance to connect with a lot of Rotarians from home, including District Governor Robert Friend, his wife Maribel, Rick Benson, and his wife Totney. Somehow we ran into Rick Benson and Totney everywhere. We saw them at least 4 times a day. Like, I don't know the randomness of how that happens. But what was so striking about that dinner was that it was to be hosted by Drew Kessler. I don't know how many of you have seen Drew's Zone, in the Zone videos. You know, he's the outgoing RI director and member of the Rotary Club of North Rockland, New York. However, Drew and his family were on that Singapore Airlines London to Singapore flight, the one that experienced extreme turbulence, resulted in 1 death and a lot of serious injuries. Drew broke his neck. Vicky broke her back. Both were hospitalized and had extensive surgery in Bangkok, where the flight was diverted. This was Drew's Facebook post on May 21st. His water bottle hit the overhead with such impact that it was embedded. I can't even imagine being in this flight. Their 2 boys weren't hurt, and in case people were wondering about the seatbelt thing, Vicky had to use the bathroom, so they were just standing up at that very moment. The boys were like in their seatbelts, and they just got massively hurt. So the dinner, so he posted this May 21st, the dinner's May 27th. You can imagine the crowd's reaction when Drew walked onto the stage, supported by his younger son. He flew, immobilized, from Bangkok to be present at this event. There was not a dry eye in the room. Talk about commitment. And I just actually read a Facebook post. They're recovering in Florida. They've only been back in the States like less than a couple of weeks, and it turns out they're hoping against hope, but it looks like they may have to have some of their surgeries redone. So that's a long road for them. There were many host hospitality nights because there turns out there were 23 Rotary clubs in Singapore. So we were assigned to the Rotary Club of Sentosa. Did you do a photo bomb, Diane? Oh, you changed it, good. So upon entry, we were immediately photobombed by Odd from the Netherlands, a past DG who probably should have known better than to ogle most of the women in the room. I mean, he just literally launched into our photo booth and photobombed us like, I'm sexy.
So they took pictures of everybody that came to the event, and you got to pick your little, added
props.
And he just walked right in with this "I'm sexy" sign. It's just like character.
So we didn't realize until we were seated that President Gordon McAnally and his wife Heather would be there too. So the intimate venue gave us a chance to have a really lovely conversation with him, as well as a chance to get some photos together. We were also totally charmed, or I can say I was smitten, by the Sentosa Club member hosting our table, who also turned out to be part of the entertainment for the evening. So here's William, he's a financier by day, lounge singer at night, and he's really fantastic.
Yeah, he was a professional singer, so.
But decided he needed a serious job. So, of course, we must mention the city of Singapore itself. This was one of the breakout stars of the convention because Singapore is a remarkable city. It's immaculately clean, including the MRT, which stands for Mass Rapid Transit.
And that's a map of everywhere it goes.
Because
just
we
all
needed
around
to know, like, because things were like, everything was at the convention center, but the evening events were like all over the city. And with littering fines starting at 2000, Singapore was known for like that guy who scratched his keys into a car, got a caning. And with littering fines starting at $2,000, it's no wonder that the city is spotless and you could eat off the subway floor.
That is the subway. I
Look
think
at that.
it's just spotless. The floor is sparkly.
Yeah.
Yeah, find that in New York City.
We got a great assist from, oh no, wait, I forgot. It's also a foodie mecca that embraces a rich tapestry of cultures. Ethnically, it's primarily made up of Chinese, Malay, Indian, and Eurasian. There's a big Little Italy section, which we got to, which that slide might have been too long, but it's very safe and very easy to navigate with English just about universally spoken. Eunice was our contact at the hotel. We showed her where we needed to go, and she told us the best way to get there, so.
She was amazing.
Yeah, many moments with Eunice. But we did make time for sightseeing. We viewed the city from the top of the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. There's
So
several.
the Marina Bay Sands Hotel is 57 floors high.
That's an infinity pool. It's the largest infinity pool in the world. We didn't get to, the hoi polloi doesn't get to go into like the private areas. We were able to go to pay some money and go to the observatory deck. But the views were breathtaking. Some of the ships that you told us about, that's actually one side. The other side had even more ships. I didn't see them until we were at the top there, but that's one of the things that Happer told us.
From there, you can also see the conservatories there. That's full of plants. We didn't end up getting in there. And then to the right
Gardens
is
of
the
the Bay.
Gardens by the Bay.
Another
That's
view
the
from the
end.
bottom.
That's the hotel.
Yeah.
Which we were not staying there. That was a little out of our
It
budget.
was right next to the convention center.
Yeah.
We just wanted.
Yeah. We also got to enjoy the Singapore Botanical Gardens the first morning we got there because the convention did start in the afternoon. That's a UNESCO World Heritage Site with magnificent orchids. If anyone wants to see Ginny and I's like 150 pictures of orchids,
Oh, I think
we can schedule 250. We can schedule a separate show.
Just for orchids.
Yeah. We also visited historic Fort Canning Park. There's Ginny. Wonderful old growth trees. That's part of the old Singapore. And the stunning, iconic gardens by the bay. It was the perfect backdrop for our convention because it offered such a unique blend of tradition and modern. So in closing, we want to emphasize this convention. It wasn't just a gathering of Rotarians, it was a celebration of our shared purpose and really a call to action for the future. Yes, the opening and breakout sessions were thoughtfully planned and so impressive, but one of the most valuable parts were the spontaneous encounters we made and the connections we made. And just getting to learn what other clubs are doing to address membership, hearing about what global grants people have going on, was really remarkable. So we left Singapore inspired, motivated, full of ideas. Oh, we have to point out
Yeah.
Sean.
So Sean is one of, how many were there? Maybe 150, 200 sergeant at arms who were there directing people, keeping people going in the right direction. And Sean was there every day, and we ran into him. In fact, in taking this picture, he was like, no, you gotta go, you gotta keep moving.
You can imagine 14,000 people doing these escalators. It was almost frightening because you think if there's no room to